just about ready to head down to the range and start shooting. But one more important step to learn is how to load and unload the gun. So if you could walk us through that, that would be great. And I'm going to step over to the side.
Now, whenever I'm handling my firearm, especially for loading and unloading and other such manipulations, I like to do it right about here, right in front of my sternum. Why? Because I'm most dexterous here, I'm strongest right here, and also I've got great peripheral vision here in case I have to look at the gun and really see what's going on. I can still keep an eye on what's going on around me, as opposed to if I'm handling my firearm down here, well, all I can see are my feet. With this pistol, I've intentionally locked the slide back, and we'll get to that in a minute, so that I can show you how to inspect the pistol to check its condition. You're checking its condition to see how loaded it is. What do I mean by that? Well, a pistol like this, a semi-automatic pistol, can be loaded in really two places. One, its magazine well can have a magazine in it. The magazine well can have a magazine in it, and we always want to verify whether or not that is the case. We do that physically by putting a finger in the magazine well to see if there's anything in there. The second place that a pistol can be loaded is in its chamber. In this case, I would like this gun to be completely unloaded. So I'm going to verify that there is nothing in this chamber. I always do that physically. Sure, I can look, but if it's dark, if that cartridge base is a little bit dirty, I may not see it. So I always verify physically with my finger to make sure that that chamber is empty. If there were a cartridge in there, I would feel it. Now, are you worried that the slide is going to snap forward and snap your finger? Don't be. As long as you don't mess with any of the levers, the slide will stay in its locked position. The first thing I'm going to do is load a magazine into the magazine well. I need to do that in order for the firearm to be able to load something into the chamber, and let me show you what I mean. The magazine is going to go into the magazine well. I smack it in with one fell swoop. Now I want to load the chamber, and how am I going to do that? Well, when the slide comes forward, it's going to automatically strip the top cartridge off the top of the magazine and load it into that chamber. In order to do this, the slide must be allowed to fall forward with all of its spring tension. And so, we're going to do this by grabbing the back of the slide. We're going to use our whole hand and grab the back of the slide, and then we're going to push with our strong hand, and we're going to pull back with our support hand and let the slide go. Now, before I do this, notice that my wrist is completely straight. I do that because as soon as I break my wrist, it gets weak. Wrists are strongest when they are straight. So I like to keep my wrist straight to do these types of manipulations with springs. Downrange is the direction that the gun is pointed in now. And sure, most of us are going to be facing downrange when we try to do these manipulations. If you find you're having trouble with the strength of it, two things. Bring the gun into that sternum level where you're strongest. And then, in order to keep that wrist straight, turn your body while keeping the gun pointed in a safe direction. We're not going to turn the gun so that it's pointing at our neighbor. We're going to turn our body while keeping the gun pointed in a safe direction. Grasping the top of the slide with my fist, I'm going to push and pull and let that slide go. Note how my hand ends up on my shoulder. That makes sure that I don't hang onto the slide and ride it forward. Now, we should have a round in the chamber. We should check to make sure that that's the case. With pistols like this SR9, there's a loaded chamber indicator that tells me visually and physically that there is a round in the chamber. And now I'm going to check to make sure that I actually have that round in the chamber by pushing and pulling, this time just a little bit, enough for me to touch that cartridge or even to see it. Now, let's talk about how we're going to unload this pistol. We're going to unload exactly in the opposite way that we load it. First, we're going to remove the source of ammunition. To do this, I need to reach that magazine release button. To do that, since my fingers aren't long enough, I'm going to need to rotate my hand so that I can push that button, and that's okay. I'm unloading, it's okay to rotate my hand out of a firing position in order to reach that button. As much as possible, try to do these manipulations with this hand. try not to reach up with your support hand and hit that magazine button. So I'm going to rotate the gun. I will let that magazine fall out into my hand. I'm going to put it away somewhere. I'll verify that that magazine well is completely empty. Now I'm going to unload the chamber. To do that, I've got to bring the slide back, and I want to lock it all the way back. So I'm going to use the slide lock lever to lock that slide back. To do that, again, I'm going to need to turn my hand so that I get good purchase on that lever with my thumb, and I have enough strength to be able to bring the slide back and lock that lever up with my thumb. Bring the slide back and lock it back. And at the same time, we're going to tip the pistol towards that port so that the round that was in the chamber can fall out. Like so. Don't try to catch that round in your hand. Bad things can happen if that round catches an edge of the port. Let the round fall out onto the ground. You can pick it up later. Now we've locked the slide back. We can, again, inspect the chamber physically and visually if you wish, but always physically. The magazine well, physically and visually. Make sure that the gun is completely unloaded.